And we are live. Welcome to another episode of Be Trapping Quick Talk. And today we're going to be talking about David Benavidez versus David Morrell, the aftermath. And let's get right into it. Man, what a great fight from round 1 to round 12. It was an exciting fight. The build-up was fun to watch. It was very intense with the push, with the Morrell throwing his belt at Benavidez. And the fight went exactly how I thought it was going to go. David Benavidez proved why he's one of the best today. I thought Morrell was going to bring more to the table with his reach, with his amateur experience. I thought he was going to make this fight a little tougher. It's hard to bet against David Benavidez, the Mexican monster. I mean, his resume proves it all. He beat people like Caleb Plant. He beat people like Alexander Gusevich was a good one to put on his resume. I know a lot of people don't know him, but Gusevich's amateur record is crazy. So yeah, Gusevich comes from the stable that includes Alexander Usyk, includes Lomachenko, includes a lot of great Ukrainian fighters. And Gusevich comes from that club, and for Benavidez to be able to take him out of there was impressive. But they've sparred before. They both talked about it. Gusevich said Benavidez got the best in that sparring. But in the fight, it was a good fight. Very similar with the David Morrell. Both these guys were more technical fighters. And the same way Benavidez said that he thought David Morrell would possess more power, that's what I was thinking too. I won't put too much weight on this loss for David Morrell. David Benavidez has a lot of professional experience. Professional experience is very different from amateur experience. Amateur is more points. It's a point system. And the pros, is kill or be killed. Sometimes sketchy things might happen. I also want to bring that up. David Morrell scored not a big knockdown. It wasn't, I think it was more of a slip, but Benavidez, both his hands touched the canvas. So it was a knockdown. And you could tell, like, with the referee body language, he kind of didn't want to give him the 8 count, but he had to. And what's very interesting is that in the last 10 seconds, Benavidez was going off on Morrell when Morrell was against the ropes. And, Benavidez wasn't stopping. It was down to 3, 2, 1. David Benavidez was still standing over Morrell trying to punch. The bell rings and Morrell throws a punch and Benavidez, he eats it. But the referee took a point from David Morrell, and it was just kind of interesting to see that happen. It wasn't really like a warning before. You can't really give a fighter a warning, hitting after the bell. It didn't look like he was going to stop at the bell, and he was still standing over Morrell, and Morrell kind of threw that punch. And I think it was more of a reaction than him actually trying to do it on purpose. But point is, the referee took a point, and that was very, very crucial at that point because he just scored a knockdown, and now the knockdown don't count. It don't matter because he got that point taken away. I'm not saying that the knockdown would have made Morrell win this fight. Nah, he was getting his ass beat the whole 12 rounds. There was some rounds that he wouldn't do anything. The dude would just stand there taking punches. Like, he believed in his chin so much that he would just stand there and take punches. It was unbelievable to watch. But anyways, they took the point. The knockdown don't matter. But it wasn't a big knockdown. It was just like a little slip. It didn't make Benavidez dazed. It didn't make him anything. I think the punch after the bell hurt a lot much harder than the actual knockdown. But like I said, I think that the punch after the bell was out of frustration and a reaction, and it wasn't like on purpose. But they took that point away, and Morrell tried to fight it, and I think the referee was a little too quick to pull the trigger. I think he didn't like the fact that he had to give an 8 count to Benavidez, and he just was eager to take a point from Morrell. That's what it seemed to me. Like I said, I'm a big fan of David Benavidez. He has done everything in the sport to prove that he's one of those guys. He's a beast. He's a monster. And as time goes by, it does seem like Canelo's scared to fight him. Because why wouldn't you fight him? You don't fight somebody because they disrespecting you. That's the reason to fight them, right? Anyways, that's a whole different conversation. But yeah, David Benavidez, he wants the winner between Bivol and Beterbiev, whatever. I know I'm fucking up his name, but Beterbiev. Benavidez wants the winner between those two, and it's gonna be interesting, man. It's gonna be interesting. He said that he had a sparring match with Bivol before, and he and rumors are he put the beats on Bivol, and Bivol hasn't seemed too interested in the fight. He hasn't really said anything about Benavidez, and Benavidez been, he been talking about him. He been calling him out. He been on his ass, but Bivol is like, he's focused on Beterbiev, which I respect. It makes sense. But when you have this young lion coming after you, I think you have to respond. I mean, he responded when Canelo said he wants a rematch. Bivol said, yeah, let's go. But now when Benavidez is doing it, he's like, he's a little quiet. So that's going to be a great match, whoever wins. Benavidez versus Bivol or Benavidez versus Beterbiev. I think Benavidez got size on both fighters. And it just seems like Benavidez will do what he claims he's going to do. He's going to unify the 175 belts and still try to chase Canelo, who's going to be older at that time and probably on his way out. Who else is there to be the face of boxing if it's not Benavidez? Tank Davis, yeah. Maybe Telfimo, okay. Terrence Crawford, we still got Crawford here, but he's gonna fight Canelo, so we're going to see who's the actual face of boxing. So real quick, I just want to look at the box score, the stats between David Benavidez and David Morrell. Benavidez landed more punches than Morrell in 10 of the 12 rounds. So Benavidez just dominated, completely dominated. All right, total punches. Let's go. Round 1, Benavidez scored 11. Morrell scored 10. Damn, Morrell attempted 50 punches in the first round, only scored 10. Second round, same thing. He attempted 50 punches, only landed 15. He outlanded Benavidez here by 1 punch. But Benavidez attempted 45 punches as well. As you see the pattern. Sometimes Morrell attempted more, but just landed less. Which is surprising because Morrell had the longer reach. And every time he attacked, it just didn't seem like he was trying to take advantage of that reach. He was getting close. He was trying to get in close. The jab was killing him all night. I mean, Benavidez's jab was hurting him completely. which is crazy to me because all Morrell had to do was step back, and you have Benavidez reaching and counter. I don't know what they was doing. I don't know what was the game plan. You know, taking away your reach advantage to get in close and fight. You know, his coach was telling him uppercuts, uppercuts, uppercuts. But that don't work if your reach is not like a foot over the fighter. You feel me? Like Fury against Usyk, when Fury is able to throw those uppercuts, it's safe for him because he's towering over Usyk. But for Morrell to throw an uppercut, you kind of need to be close to Benavidez. And Benavidez was way faster than Morrell. They called Morrell the counter puncher, but Benavidez was countering more. Yeah, both guys attempted a lot of punches. I mean, look at this. Total punches. Benavidez attempted 553 punches. Morrell attempted 601 punches. Benavidez landed 224. Morrell landed 165. Big difference. It's a big difference. And Benavidez is the stronger, faster fighter. You don't want him, like, going off on you. You feel me? Like, standing in the middle of the ring with your hands up and letting Benavidez just tee off on you is a no. Like, you cannot allow that to happen. I feel like Morrell's team thought that Benavidez would have slowed down in the later rounds. Morrell tried picking it up in the later rounds, but it just didn't work. You know, Morrell attempted 62 punches in the last round. He attempted 56 in the 11th round. He attempted 54 in the 10th round. He attempted more punches than Benavidez, but Benavidez was just landing more. Like in the 12th round, Benavidez attempted 45, Morrell attempted 62, but Benavidez landed 22 versus Morrell's 14. And it was a big difference when Benavidez landed versus when Morrell landed. Huge difference. I expected Morrell to have a better performance. I actually have money on Morrell. Like, I never bet against Benavidez. But something about Morrell, I thought that he was going to do a lot much better than he actually did. Like, he wasn't productive enough in the ring. He was admiring his work. He would step away and not come back. He would let David Benavidez just pound on him. And Morrell is just there, just running around the ring. And the way Morrell was fighting is like Morrell was fighting like he's the one who has more power. He was looking for the one punches. He was looking for the one hits. You know, he didn't really have that many combos. I mean, he tried, but Benavidez would just step back. And then you have Morrell reaching, which I don't understand why Morrell is reaching when he has the longer reach. So I feel like, I don't know, Morrell's team, the coaches, I mean, the game plan was awful. Completely awful. You know, Morrell does have power because if you see the aftermath, if you see how Benavidez's face was looking, I mean, his face was busted up. I think Morrell's face was a little cleaner. Like, Morrell was touching him up, but he wasn't active enough. You feel me? Like, he attempted the punches, but he wasn't landing the punches. Overall, it was a great fight. Morrell said he wants the rematch. I don't see Benavidez giving him the rematch. I think it's just a one and done. It was a tough fight for David, but this proves why he's the Mexican monster. This proves why he has so much confidence in himself. His team has so much confidence in him. Yeah, this is the first time I betted against David Benavidez, the first time I went against Benavidez. But, you know, this proves to me that he could definitely unify. Regardless if it's with Bivol or Beterbiev. He will unify. A lot of these boxers know that David is the real deal, and they train the hardest. They try to have the best performance they ever had against David. No matter what, Benavidez always finds a way to win. We haven't seen somebody go toe-to-toe with Benavidez. I mean, Morrell was standing in the middle of the ring at times. You know, he was putting David against the ropes, trying to let his combos go off. But, man, Benavidez, something about his defense and his power, his speed, just makes you hesitant. Because at times Morrell was just looking at him. I thought maybe he was trying to save his gas tank for the next round. But when the next round came, it was the same thing. He was just ball up. I'm not a really big fan of that balling up, defense. I don't like that just standing in the middle, just, trying to hold your ground. I'm not a fan of that. You just a punching bag. You feel me? Like, if you're not going to throw, you have to move. If you're not planning to throw, then move. If you're planning to throw, then that's when you ball up. And then as soon as the guy is done, you come back. You feel me? You come back. But if you're not planning to come back after you ball up, then don't ball up. Gotta move back. Gotta move your feet. Gotta move your head. But, man, it was hard to see. It was very hard to see. Because the punishment that Morrell was getting was crazy. In a way, I just feel like, why was he calling him out? Morrell should have stood at 168. Fight the Caleb Plants. Fight the Edgar Belangas. Fight the Jaime Munguias. If you can't beat them, definitely not beating David Benavidez. But Morrell was confident. He wanted him and just him. And he didn't want to fight those other guys. But now I want to see him against those other guys, because I want to see how he would match against Belanga, against Caleb Plant. Like, I would love to see a Caleb Plant versus David Morrell now. That's a great fight right there. But I don't know if Morrell is planning to drop down to 168 or he's staying at 175. I mean, there's really nobody in the lower ranks in 175. You already had your chance to fight for the interim, fight for the mandatory. You're done. There's a lot more stars down at 168. A lot of more big paydays. So I don't really understand. All right, you're done with the David Benavidez. You better be dropping down now. But that was a great fight. This proves that the Mexican Monster is who he is. He will be the face of boxing soon. I don't know why Tank Davis, another thing, I don't know why Tank Davis wasn't on this card. Remember when David Benavidez co-headline with Tank? Tank was headline, Benavidez was co-headline, and Tank said he doesn't mind switching. What happened to that? Tank went this way and Benavidez went that way. I think they had a card announced together, but then it got separated and they're doing their own thing now. I'm not sure if they just want the money separate. You feel me? It's just a bigger payday for PBC like that. Or Tank didn't want to do it. I'm not trying to stir up drama or whatever, but I just want to point that out. What a great fight. I'm very interested to see David Benavidez try to unify the belts. Either that's with Bivol or Better BF. I cannot wait to see David Morrell come back and fight somebody with a big name like Jaime Munguia, Caleb Plant, Edgar Belanga. You got Christian McBilly. You got a lot of guys at 168. So, I like these high weights. The 168s, 154, 175. The heavyweights, Usyk, the GOAT. So, yeah, man, boxing is exciting. Got all these guys, got all these new guys. So, yeah, man. That's all I got for you. Don't forget to drop a like, a subscribe, a comment, a share. Do all that good stuff for me. Until next time.